What's going on, guys? TKD1 the review, and today we're going to talk about another album by Future. We got those two albums that we got back a few months ago, which was Future and Hendrix. And I reviewed Future, I loved Future, and now we have Hendrix. So without further ado, let's jump into the review of Future's Hendrix. Now, starting off here just with some, facts about the album. It is 17 tracks long, right? So that's a pretty big, it's a pretty lengthy album, just to say in terms of track-wise. But if you look at it from the length perspective, just keep that in mind. It might be a little bit deceiving because this album is only an hour and 9 minutes long, which will lead you to believe that, hey man, like these songs go quick, like they're kind of quick snippets. And generally I feel like they were, I didn't feel like they were that short, but I felt like overall, when you look at the amount of tracks versus the length of how long it takes for you to get through those tracks, they kind of don't coincide, but that is to account for these shorter tracks. And so, I kind of waited on, this album to review it, just because this album came out so close with Future that, I didn't really want that much Future, in terms of 2 weeks. Like, I wanted to just, take a little break, kind of step back from him and really, be able to look at Hendrix, with a more open mind, what I'm saying? Just because I loved Future so much, I didn't want that kind of bias to rub off on the Hendrix, and it definitely didn't, to say the least. So, going into this, a lot of people were saying that, yeah, this is basically Future if he was to put out an R&B album. Like, this is very much R&B. He does a lot of singing in there, but he does a lot of that stuff in there, and it's definitely not very much of a trap album as he usually does, right? So this is definitely R&B, and I can agree with that to an extent. I don't feel like I was getting that much R&B vibes off of it, I didn't really. I just personally didn't really get that type of connotation, in terms of Hendrix. And that's not to say that, that's a bad thing. It's just how I kind of interpreted it. And maybe I was misled, because a lot of people were telling me that, oh man, like, you're gonna love this. Kevin, this is right up your alley. Hendrix is gonna be, your album of the year, whatever. Like, all these crazy statements, right? And I guess maybe that, falls into me being kind of overhyped by the people that were telling me this. But to go into the album, I will say that it is very divisive. And that's kind of, like the theme I want to really, hone in on this, is that Hendrix is a very divisive album to me. Like, it is such a hit or miss album, to me. And that, makes it kind of not that great of an album when you're looking at it overall. Now, I don't know what happened in the, second half of this album, but whatever did, it was a clear mishap. Like, there's just a bunch of, I feel, unnecessary, like, there's no depth to the songs. Like, they're just, I don't know, like, I feel like the second half is just such a letdown, what I'm saying? Like, it feels so mundane, so drab. Like, we get songs like Keep Quiet, we get songs like I Thank You. Like, they're so, like, basic cookie cutter tracks that don't do anything for me personally, and they definitely don't do anything, I feel, for Future, in his overall discography. And it just feels such a miss, what I'm saying? And it's like, it's so weird, because we got Future that was such a good project, man. Like, it was such a banger. It was, there were definitely some great tracks in there. It's not his best, as far as I've heard, because that is really the first album I really delved into with him. But I've heard in the past, from other people that, it's not his best album, but it's a good album, right? So definitely Future, is a good album, amongst the people that know Future very well. But in terms of myself, I had that same testament. But with here, I get, it doesn't make sense really to me, like how he can have Future, have it be so good, and then make Hendrix, there's neither here or there, when they were made, whatever, is at the point. But Hendrix is such a divisive, it's so divisive, man. Like, it's either, it's like a track, right? I will like a track, right? What I'm saying? I will vibe with it. I'll be, oh yeah, this is really good. And trust me, there are good songs on Hendrix that I will go over here later on. But just going off of just this little tangent here, like, there will be tracks, right, where I would just love, like, I'll be vibing with the beat. It's a great beat, what I'm saying? And then the very next track, I absolutely hate it. Like, it's garbage. What I'm saying? Like, it's such a weird thing to have here, with that. It's such a weird to have, an album that can be either really good, like, some tracks, and then to be really bad on other tracks. It's such a weird thing. Speaking on the good parts, like, definitely the first half of the album is a strong suit. I would, advise you maybe stop stop after maybe track 7, track 8, around there, right, where things get, you know, a little bit of downslope. But overall, you know, the first half is very, very good. There are interesting beats in there, especially with, you know, the beats of like Incredible and Testify. Those go back to back on the album, and those instrumentals are so, you know, they're the unique instrumentals that I want out of Future. Like, there are the things, you know, that, you know, we can speak to his overall kind of party presence, whatever, but when we talk about in terms of his music, right, his instrumentals sometimes are absolutely like I love his instrumentals. Like, they're so catchy, they stick with you, and, you know, Testify and those songs like that have a great instrumental with it that, you know, I feel just absolutely makes the song well worthwhile, and it's a great thing. And that's really, you know, overall in the first half. Like, the first half is very, very much the strong suit of the album. That's definitely where I feel like a lot of people will, you know, kind of like spend their time with. It's definitely in the first part of the album. But then, you know, let's jump into some features, right? We got 2 features here, and they are no, you know, slack offs over. Like, this is a very, very good list of features here. There's only 2 of them, and it's The Weeknd and Rihanna. Right now, both of these absolutely kill it. Like, there's no question to be had there. The Weeknd absolutely killed it. Rihanna killed it, with Weeknd's track being Coming Out Strong, and then Rihanna's being Selfish. Like, those 2 are absolutely great, you know, great tracks. And really, you know, in terms of Selfish, that's maybe the highlight of the second half of the album, right? But then there's also Sorry, the outro, which is actually, you know, a very, very good one. I'll just tie that on there as kind of like not inclusive to the second half of the album. That's really bad. But, you know, Rihanna killed it, obviously. And the Weeknd's track, I like it, right? But then, you know, I just felt like it just got really old. It got really old really quick, you know what I'm saying? At least for me personally. So, knock down points maybe if you want to, but overall, like, it's not a bad feature. Like, it's a very, very good performance, very, very good stuff. And then kind of one thing I wanted to hit on this, you know, review and just make sure that, you know, it gets out there really, is that there were times in here where like Future was trying to do an R&B sound, right? Like trying to sing, trying to do like an R&B-esque type of song to it, and it kind of sounded like a Great Value PartyNextDoor. And that's really, you know, what I kind of boiled down to is that, well, if we take Future, right? Like, we take Future as an artist, take him, take his styling, and if we put an R&B twist on it, if we, you know, make him kind of, you know, have the song presented in an R&B way, we actually really do kind of get close to P&D. Like, that's essentially what we get here, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's kind of sometimes how I felt in this album, where like it kind of really felt like a P&D song. And there were a bunch of tracks where I feel like, okay, yeah, like this is definitely a PartyNextDoor song. Like, you know, I'm sure they were in like OVO headquarters. Mr. PartyNextDoor, you know, probably slid him a song, whatever, because there are definitely songs here that sound a lot like PartyNextDoor, in my personal opinion. So overall, do I recommend this? I loosely recommend it, honestly. Like, you know, the first half is worth it, right? The first half is definitely worth, you know, your listen, worth your time. But, you know, it's just that second half that really just kills me, you know, fully recommending this album. And that is also what makes it divisive, in my opinion, you know, and that's kind of what I want everyone to kind of just take away from this, is that I feel that overall the album is very, very divisive in this, where you can like one track and then the very next track, it's just, you know, not for me personally. So that's my review of Hendrix Future's second album and the 1-2 punch of album releases that he did a few months ago. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share down below. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and as always, I got you.